The end of World War II for many countries means liberation. For Hungary, it only means a change of masters. Communists instead of fascists. Less corruption, but more oppression. Hungarians do not rule themselves. Moscow gives orders and Budapest obeys. In spite of increased production, Hungarians do not enjoy the fruits of their labor. Food is scarce, essential items almost non-existent, but few dare speak out. And these are rounded up and imprisoned. Many are sent to forced labor camps, others executed. The secret police, the dreaded AVO, terrorizes the land. In this difficult period, a 10-year-old girl is attending school in Budapest. Her name is Cecilia Kuhinka.
Had no freedom of speech whatsoever. At home, they did not talk too much around us children. They tried to, keep quiet, because the more they said, the more trouble they could get into. They mostly complained about they have no freedom of talking. They can't discuss anything in any place because they have to be afraid of that somebody will report them if they say the slightest thing. So our neighbors reported us to the AVO. My grandfather, according to them, was listening to the Free Europe, which wasn't true. They picked up my grandfather at the same night, about 3 o'clock in the morning. They took him in, and 2 days later, they released him, completely beaten, who was at the moment a 67-year-old man.
While Hungary chafes silently under the new order, other satellite countries are making their protests felt. Yugoslavia's Tito breaks openly with Stalin. In Poland, the workers of Poznan go on strike. All this makes a tremendous impact on Hungary, particularly on the youth. They now want to create a better life for themselves. In 1956, students and intellectuals become bolder in their opposition to the regime. The center of all this agitation is Budapest. Before the war, a city of pleasure and romance. Now a symbol of Hungary's seething unrest. Arriving in Budapest is a high school student from the town of Veszprém, Laszlo Szabo.
Budapest used to be the so-called Paris of the East, the meeting place of East and West. A lot of intellectuals, college students, high school students, they were really the ones against the rules, the occupation, and they were dissatisfied of the circumstances. They are the idealists usually in every country, and they are the ones that come up with brighter ideas, and they are the ones that are impatient. It's the same all over the world.
October 23rd, 1956. The years of pent-up frustration come to a head. The day begins with student petitions and protest marches. In defiance of government orders, large crowds demonstrate spontaneously at the national monuments of two of Hungary's greatest heroes, the poet Sándor Petőfi and Polish General József Bem. Not since the revolt against Austria 100 years earlier has there been such a spontaneous outburst of national patriotism. The mood becomes bolder as all classes of citizens join in. Most surprising are the factory workers, the backbone of communist strength. All symbols of foreign domination are destroyed as the man in the street gives vent to his feelings.
First thing what we wanted to do is to take over our city, control it, get the communist elements out of the local police, party members, to get them out of their office, out of their leading roles, and maintain peace actually in our city.
the central radio station, the demonstrators want to broadcast their reform program to the nation, but the building is guarded by AVO troops.
I was on my way to meet my mother, but in that crowd I could not find her, so I just followed the crowd to the radio station. People were yelling, screaming, and running towards the radio station when all of a sudden, machine guns. The students really wanted to see our little country be alive. They never dreamed of going into a gunfight. That is until the AVO fired on them.
The rebels finally capture the station at a great price. But now the whole country knows what is happening in Budapest. Communist officials, thrown off balance by the unexpected mass uprising, gamble on the popular favorite, Imre Nagy, to restore order. But martial law and the slogan, order, calm, discipline, cannot stop the increasing momentum of the revolt. Nagy himself turns his back on the party and becomes the leader of the national movement. During the next few days, the whole country becomes an armed camp. Province after province declares itself free, as the National Guard happily joins forces with the rebels. The fiercest resistance comes from the AVO police. They're the real enemy in the eyes of the people. Even the Russians hate them. Russian tanks support the people.
When the masses got a hold of AVO personnel, they find their clothing full of money. They were giving money to bribe themselves out of situations and whatnot. People grabbed the money out of them and stuffed them in their mouth and choked them with it. They gave them the terrifying death what they used to hand out.
After 8 days of fighting, the AVO are defeated, and the Russians agree to withdraw their troops. The revolution seems won by the people themselves. No outside power has helped them, no demagogue has swayed them. For a few brief days, they have what they want: representative government, freedom of speech, the removal of Russian troops from the country.
Most people were surprised the Russians were leaving, and everybody started celebrating. At last we were a free country, they kept saying, and we all were very happy about it.
On October 31st, in his speech to the nation, Nagy confidently declares, "These glorious days have given birth to our national government, which will fight for the freedom and independence of our people. Long live free Hungary." But while Hungarians are celebrating the miraculous victory, the Kremlin reverses its policy. Nagy's right-hand man, János Kádár, pays a secret visit to the Russian embassy in Budapest. Russian tanks mass along the border and prepare to invade the country. The brief hope of a free Hungary is on the verge of dying out. on the morning of November 4th, Soviet tanks invade Budapest. The people, caught off guard, are no match for tanks and artillery.
Some people might have thought about it, but nobody expected the Russians to come back so quickly. When all this came on us, it was a big surprise and a big shock, and there were very little our side could do. We had nothing to fight with.
Utcán mellettetek abban az órában, amikor a legjobban szükségetek. Éljen Magyarország! Szabad Európa!
Freedom programs broadcast by Radio Free Europe has led the Hungarians to believe the West would send help, but no help arrives. The Writers Association sends an SOS to the United Nations, preoccupied with another crisis at the moment. In Suez, the Hungarian SOS goes unheeded, and the Hungarians are crushed. Physically by Soviet tanks, in spirit by Western failure to act. World sympathy cannot help Hungary now.
Everybody is supporting the little guy, but all they do is tell him that we'll hold your head until you fight. That was all what we got from the Western powers. We decided to pull back to save one's life because the country certainly needed men alive. Dead heroes are no use to a country anymore.
I don't believe the revolution was worth what we lost. We lost a tremendous lot of young, intelligent people. I think we should have never gotten promises from other countries that they could help us, because the young people who fought believed them.
The short-lived dream of freedom is over. The same master is back in command with a new set of frontmen, led by János Kádár. Nagy is imprisoned with execution to follow. The Evo, those who escaped hanging, come out of hiding to wreak vengeance on those who led the revolt. Thousands of Hungarians pay the price for having dared to want freedom. Life returns to the previous routine of despair. Many prefer to take their chances abroad rather than endure more misery at home. In the next few months, some 200,000 refugees, mostly young people, flee the country.
We come to the conclusion that there's no alternative. We have to leave. To leave the home, leave the country into a strange unknown, no matter how sad it was, no matter how much it hurts to our parents that we may never see them again. And God knows what would happen on them because of us. kneeled down by my brother and shook him. He was still alive, but he was bleeding from more than one wound. And I saw that he doesn't have a chance. With his last few words, he says, "Let me die in Hungary. You keep on going. Go to the west. Stop at every house. Holler in every window. Tell the crimes that was committed. Wake them up from their endless sleep."
It took us 4 days to get to Austria. We had to rely on a guide who took us across. But on the way I got quite ill, and the guide wanted to leave me right there and then. But fortunately, a young boy offered to carry me, and that is how I made it. The thing which bothered me most was leaving my grandparents behind. That I had to leave them and never see them again. All this made me very homesick, and I wanted to go back. I started to realize what a beautiful country Hungary is. I find myself forgiving my country, all the bad things which I experienced and hated. I want to go back, because there were people who cared for me, and I for them.
For the refugees arriving in Austria, there is a great feeling of relief at being alive. The Austrians are kind and hospitable, but many get no farther than the displaced persons camps. They soon learn that receiving care packages is much easier than arranging for settlement in another country. Immigration restrictions, both in Europe and in America, bar the door to those who once listened avidly to Radio Free Europe programs, urging them to fight for freedom.
When I reached Austria, I registered to come to the United States. A few weeks spent in Austria, and they called our name in a list who registered for the United States. They put us on trains and transferred us to a European seaport, Bremenhaven.
After spending 3 months in Austria, the news came that we will be leaving to America. Of course, everybody wanted to go to America because America is supposed to be all gold and money pouring down the streets. All you have to do is pick it up. At least that's what we thought.
European eyes, America is sort of a promised land, but for so many it's a disappointment, and we all puzzled, wondered, worried about the new home, and we were very anxious to get to know its ways, its living. We wanted to get our own opinion, our own experiences, our own adventures in it.
Most of us were taken to Camp Kimler in New Jersey. It wasn't much of a place to many people, but to us it meant a lot. They did many things for us there, such as finding relatives and friends in other parts of the United States, or helping you make up your mind where to live in this big country. There were physical examinations and other helpful things, but it was still a camp, and most of us were anxious to be on our way and settled after all these months.
For thousands of Hungarian refugees scattered throughout the world, the adjustment to their new surroundings is not easy. What they might gain can never equal what they lost. Friends, family, country. They cannot go home again. They can only hope that someday the cause for which they fought will triumph. Following her stay in Camp Kilmer, Cecilia Kuhinka moved to California and today lives in Hollywood. Laszlo Szabo settled in Ohio and attended a trade school there. Today he works as an auto mechanic. The Hungarian Revolution still serves as a hope to enslaved peoples everywhere and as a warning to those who would destroy the right to be free. In the words of Nobel Prize winner Albert Camus, if their suffering is ours, their hope belongs to us too. Despite their destitution, their exile, their chains, it took them but a single day to transmit to us the royal legacy of liberty. May we be worthy of it. The Hungarian revolt was a physical failure, doomed before it began by the overwhelming odds of military might. But it gave the world a momentary glimpse behind the mask of absolute power. That brief truth was the real success of the revolt.